So now I'm going to Command 0 to get us back out. Alright, I am going to use my Move tool, my Select tool, on the logo layer and put that logo down about where I think I want it. Okay, somewhere down there. Now for my text, I am going to select the Text tool, and I'm just going to click anywhere and type out my headline. And my headline is, what is my headline? Relax, recharge, and rediscover. Okay, so now I've lost my text layer. If I double click on this, the T on my new layer here, it will reactivate that. Whenever you want to select the text on your text layer, that's the way to do it. Okay, relax. I'm going to hit return to get a new line. I haven't drawn a text box, I just clicked. Okay, you can draw a text box if you want, but it's not necessary for this. Recharge. Return again. Rediscover. Okay, now I'm going to select my selection tool again, and I need to address this type because it, first of all, it's gray. So the way to change the color of the type, there's a few ways, but probably the easiest way is if I double click here, and then I go to my my character palette, which is this little A guy right here. If you don't see your character palette or any other palette, then you want to come up here to the window and find it. You'll find character and every other window that's available in here. So if you don't see it out here somewhere, you'll find it under window and then it will open. Okay? And I'm going to change the color by clicking once here, and then I'm going to change that to white and say OK. And then I can close this palette. Well, actually, I'm going to leave this palette open. Not only that, but I'm going to drag it out of the way so we can see what we're doing. So here it is. I have my character and paragraph palette. So the first thing I'm going to do is change this from centered to flush right, rag left, because that's the way my comp looked. Now I can drag. If I try to drag in here, I'm just going to select characters. Command A to select all. I can drag out here when I have that symbol, like that, while I have everything selected. But it's hard for me to judge what kind of type and color and contrast and everything when I have the selection color over the top of the type. So what I'm going to do is go back then to my selection tool. I'm going to click on character, and so long as I'm on this layer, I can still change the attributes in this palette. So let's do that. First of all, the font I want. There's several ways I can, if I already know what font I want, I can just select this and type the font I want, Optima, and then hit return, and now I have Optima Bold and some other choices if that's the font that I want. If I don't know what font I want, I can click and hold on that little flyout arrow, and I have all the things that I have loaded on my computer, which are a few, to choose from. Now, another way is I can click, select everything in that window, and then down or up arrow key to see the next font in order. Now it's not going to change this in this case because that's gray, there are no other choices, but it's going to leave it on regular or whatever the default is. Okay, so if you were looking for something bold, you might want to pull it down to bold and see if it will respect that, but we'll see. Anyway, so what I did was select this and just start down arrowing until I find the font that that works for me. Okay, it's kind of a cool way to see different fonts in your build. So let's see, what was the font that I liked? I have no idea. It was, oh, here we go. It's this one. All right, so there's the font I like. It's got too much space here and here. It's also a little small compared to my comp. So if I go back, well, I mean, my comp isn't in that font, but I wanted that to be a little bigger in the billboard. All right, because I don't want this to be the first thing people see. I want this to be the first information that they read. Okay, so I'm going to change it to about, I don't have any more anything bigger than 112, so I'm going to have to type it in. I'm going to go about 140. I'm going to try and go about 140. 140. I'm going to hit return. And then over here, about 130. Okay, and that looks more like what I want. Now I'm going to redock this by grabbing the top part here and just putting it right there. Next, I want to line these things up. So I'm going to drag one bar out from my vertical bar, and that's not where I want it. Drag it again, about right there. I want my logo to line up with that too, so I'm going to click on the logo. I'm going to use my arrow keys to nudge that over. My right arrow key moves that over. I'm going to nudge this one down. It's a little closer to the top for me. And then the last thing I'm going to do is, I think it would read better if the vignette went from this dark to this light, but in this direction. So it was darker here and lighter here. This would read better, and this would read better. So quickly, I'm going to turn these guys off, click on my image background, and I can do this several ways, but in this case I'm going to go select color range. Right now it's set for quick mask. I like to set it for grayscale. Oops, I'm sorry, you didn't see that. When I started it was set for, whoops, quick mask, which is okay, but you can really see what's going on when it's in grayscale. Okay? And where I click, let me move this over here, wherever I click, that's the color it's going to select to make my mask. So there's the dark blue. You see it didn't get the light blue. So I can do the plus, pick up the light blue, and then I can change the fuzziness to accept more or less of that range of color. Now I want to go just so I can start, see how you can start seeing the umbrella? I don't want to affect that, so I'm going to back it off till just that turns black. Say OK. Now my selection where the marching ants are, I can fill with a vignette that goes the direction I want it to go. So I'm going to make a new layer down here with that little blank paper. Now I have a new layer above the layer that I was just on. Remember, whenever you make a new layer, it comes right above the layer you were just selected. I am going to take my dropper tool, select the dark color. I'm going to swap these two colors. Now I've selected the background color, and I'm going to the light tool, or the light side. So now I have it loaded, dark to light. If I select the front, I can select one color, select the back, select the other color, and that's in the color palette. Now I'm going to take the Vignette tool, which looks like a vignette, and I'm going to drag, click and drag from dark to light. And you can see what happens. Wherever I drag, in whatever direction I drag, it goes dark to light. The farther I drag, the longer the vignette. So I'm going to turn these back on so I can see what I'm doing. And I think I want my dark to light to go something like that. Or this. Okay, I like that better. The headline reads better. The Mexico reads better. Now the last thing I want to do, I'm going to Command D to deselect. I'm going to select the top layer, the type layer, make one new blank layer, grab my Marquee tool, this guy right here. I am going to trim, not trim, but I'm going to select the visual area. This is the part that will be cut out. Remember, all this outside area is going to get cut off when it's printed, or should get cut off. I want to mask the outside area with white. I don't want to delete it from my image because I'm going to need it for my build. But to show my comp to the client, I want to be able to show him only what's going to print and not the bleed, because that would be confusing. So I have something selected, and under Select, I'm going to say Inverse to turn it to the reverse of what's selected, because I don't want the middle selected but the outside. And then I'm going to Edit, Fill, and at the very bottom you'll see white, and say OK. Then Command D to deselect. I can Command H to hide my guides, and that's my comp and what it looks like. So I'm going to save it two ways. I should have been saving all along. First, I'm going to save it the way it was saved when I first started as a PSD. So I'm just going to hit Command Save, or Command S to save, or File Save. I'm going to turn off maximum compatibility. Don't need it for this. Say OK. Now I'm going to save one more time. I'm going to save as, and I'm going to choose, I'm not going to change the name, I'm going to change it to JPEG. This is going to be something that I can mail to the client or move faster than the big Photoshop file. So it changed the extension, everything else stays the same. That way I know that my layered file, the name is the same as the JPEG file, that they were made from each other, or one was made at the same time. I'm going to say replace because I already have one. You probably won't yet. I'm going to pick 8 for quality, standard, baseline standard. The size of this file is not going to be 80 megs, but 2.3 megs, so that's good. And I'm going to say OK. So on my desktop, I should have two. One says PSD at the end, and one says JPEG at the end. And that's it. Thanks for watching.